Yes, students, let me tell you the meaning of perisperm. If this is the embryo sac, the nucellus, this is the nucellus, it supplies nourishment to the developing cells of embryo sac. Thereby, the nucellus will be used up completely. But sometimes what happens is nucellus persists. Sometimes the nucellus persists. So, this persistent nucellus is called perisperm. Example, black pepper. Okay, we see the presence of the nucellus even after the formation of seed. Okay, once more I'll repeat. Perisperm means what? Persistent nucellus. Means what? Nucellus persists even after the formation of seed. Example is what? Black pepper. Why are we telling it specifically? That's because the embryo sac cells will use up the nucellus usually, but sometimes it remains. Thereby, we call that as an exception and given the name as perisperm. Okay, this is one term. Next, you are supposed to know about the meaning of dormancy. So, what's the meaning of dormancy? As the seed attains maturity, it starts losing water. That means it starts becoming dehydrated, or we say it undergoes dehydration. Thereby, the seeds become inactive. This inactive state of the seed is called dormancy. So, when I say the seeds are stored, it doesn't mean they're dead. They are in a state of inactive, or we say they are in a state of dormancy. Okay? Yes. What are the advantages of seeds? First of all, because the seeds can be stored for many years. Okay, it can be stored for many years because of what? Because of this dormant state. Now, when do we say it becomes active? Please remember, when the favorable condition returns, it becomes active. Which is that favorable condition? Water. Please remember, the seeds are in a dormant state, no doubt, but it becomes active when it gets the favorable condition. Which is the favorable condition? It had lost water. If it gets water, it will become active. Thereby we say water. When it receives water, it starts germinating. Okay. See, because of natural calamities, drought, okay, because of drought, natural calamities, we may not get seed every time. Thereby, it's our duty to store the seed so that we can consume it throughout the year or whenever we want. Okay? We may not get the seed when there are drought or natural calamities. Hence, it is necessary to store so that we can consume whenever we want. Second, the seed has reserve food, very important point, the seed has the reserve food, thereby it supplies nutrition to the seedling until and unless the seedling becomes nutritionally independent. Okay, I'll repeat once more. The seed has reserve food. Okay. So, it can supply or it will supply nutrition to the seedling until and unless it becomes nutritionally until and unless it becomes nutritionally independent. Okay, until and unless it becomes nutritionally independent. Okay. Since the seeds are the products of sexual reproduction, they provide genetic recombination and variation. They provide genetic recombination and variation. Okay? Because of the presence of the seed coat, the seeds are protected from injury. They are protected from injury. Next, depending on the ability of the seed, they can be grown in that particular season. Not all the seeds can be grown in all seasons. Okay, depending on the ability of the seeds, they can be grown in that particular season. Okay, seeds possess better adaptive strategies for dispersal. So what? Therefore, they can form a new colony. Okay, they possess what? They possess better adaptive strategies. They possess better adaptive strategies for dispersal. Okay. Okay, students, let me explain once more. Perisperm means the persistent nucellus. The nucellus must degenerate or it must be used up completely by the embryo sac. But sometimes it remains even after the formation of the seed. Thereby, we say persistent nucellus. Such a persistent nucellus is called by the term perisperm. Okay, it is said to be perisperm. Now, on the other hand, what is the meaning of dormancy? As and when the seed starts maturing, it loses water content. Thereby, it attains a state of dehydration, or we say it becomes inactive. This inactive state of seed is said to be dormancy. On the return of favorable condition, it becomes active. Which is the favorable condition? It is the water. Okay. Next, when we pass on to the advantages of seed, due to drought or natural calamities, we may not get the seed throughout the season. Thereby, we have to store the seeds so that we can consume it whenever we want. Next, the seed has the reserve food. This seed supplies the food to the developing seedling until and unless the seedling becomes nutritionally independent. Means the root must be able to draw the nourishment from the soil, so the shoot must be able to receive all the components that is necessary from the atmosphere by itself. Next, sexual reproduction means what? The fusion of the male gamete and the female gamete resulting in a zygote. That is, the process is said to be fertilization. All this is said to be sexual reproduction. Seeds are the products of the sexual reproduction. Thereby, it can provide the genetic recombination and variation. Seeds provide us the genetic recombination and variation because they are the product of sexual reproduction. Then the seeds will be protected because of the presence of the seed coat. On the other hand, depending on the ability of the seed, that particular seed can be sown for it to grow. That means what? All the seeds cannot be grown in all seasons. Thereby, depending on its ability, they will be raised to grow. Okay. Finally, we say seeds possess better adaptive strategies for dispersal so as to form a new colony. Is it clear? Yes, students. All of us know that ovule is a future seed, isn't it? Future seed in the sense what? after pollination and fertilization, the ovule will change into seed. But we have here some special mechanisms. One is Apomixis and the other is polyembryony. Now, what do you mean by apomixis? Formation of seed without fertilization. Without fertilization. Okay? Formation of seed without fertilization is said to be apomixis. How is it formed? The diploid egg, changes to seed. Means what? The cell will never undergo reduction. Thereby we say directly the cell is formed into a diploid egg and that will result in a seed. See the meaning. Apo, without, gametes. Without gametes, we see the formation of seeds. Thereby we say apomixis. Formation of seed without the act of fertilization is said to be apomixis. The diploid egg is formed without reduction division and that will result in a seed. Same manner we have polyembryony. The name itself says many embryos are formed. Many embryos are formed. Why do you say many embryos? There should be the formation of only one embryo in an embryo sac, isn't it? Suppose this is an embryo sac, it is a zygote that is formed after fertilization, okay, will change to embryo. The diploid cells of the nucellus, okay, some of the diploid cells of the nucellus will change to an embryo. Thereby we say formation of embryo without the act of fertilization, and it is not one. Many embryos will be formed. Many such cells of the nucellus, will form or develop into embryo. Okay? Yes, students, let us see what are the differences between microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. Microsporogenesis is with reference to pollen grains. Okay, how is pollen grain formed? Everything. And it is about the male reproductive system and its detail. Here, it is about the female reproductive system and its detail, that is megasporogenesis. In other words, this is with reference to andrecium and this is with reference to gynoecium. Okay, that is with reference to gynoecium. Please concentrate. Let me see what are the differences. Meanwhile, you try to recall. What about the very first difference? The first difference is microspores are formed from microspore mother cell. Here, megaspore is formed. Megaspore is formed from megaspore mother cell. Okay. Here also we use the word MMC and even here MMC, megaspore mother cell. Second, what do you say? Where does it occur? So, this formation of microspore, that is microsporogenesis, occurs in a bag-like structure which is called microsporangia. Sporangium is singular, okay. Here it occurs in, that is megasporogenesis occurs in megasporangium, or we call it as ovule. Where does it occur? It occurs in megasporangium. Here it occurs in microsporangium. Many microspores are formed, whereas here only one megaspore is formed. Okay? Many microspores are formed. Here only one megaspore is formed. Yes, students. I told you many microspores are formed and here only one megaspore is formed. What's the reason? In each microsporangium, number of microspore mother cells are present. Many microspores are formed, but here only one megaspore is formed. What's the reason? The microsporangium has many microspore mother cells. They have many microspore mother cells. And here, each microspore mother cell gives rise to 4 microspores. 4 microspores. And all of them remain attached as a pollen tetrad. Okay? They remain attached as a pollen tetrad. So, from one microspore mother cell, we get 4 microspores and these remain attached as pollen tetrad. So, you can imagine many such cells are present and hence in one microsporangium many microspores are formed. Okay. In case of megasporogenesis, I said only one megaspore is formed. What's the reason? If this is the nucellus, even though many cells are present, only one cell, okay, only one cell becomes the functional megaspore mother cell. Only one cell becomes the functional megaspore mother cell. Whereas in case of microsporangium, what did I say? All the cells, okay, all the cells become potentially active. Each cell will form 4 microspores. But here, even though many cells are there in the nucellus, only one cell will become active, okay, and it takes part in the division. What division? This is the megaspore mother cell which is diploid. It undergoes reduction division. So as to form what? So as to form 4 cells which are haploid, that is linear tetrad. It forms linear tetrad. All are haploid. Upper 3 degenerates. Only the last one remains as the functional megaspore. Okay, it remains as the functional megaspore. This megaspore gives rise to female gametophyte. Okay, it gives rise to female gametophyte or we say embryo sac. Which one? Only one megaspore. This is the functional megaspore. Let me repeat. So, what are the differences between microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis? First of all, microsporogenesis means formation of the microspores, okay, whereas megasporogenesis is formation of megaspore. So, microspores are haploid, megaspores are also haploid. Is it clear? Yes, now. First of all, we say microspores are formed from microspore mother cell, megaspores are formed from megaspore mother cell. This occurs in, that is the formation occurs in microsporangium, whereas megasporogenesis occurs in megasporangium or ovule. Many microspores are formed because all the cells of the megasporangium take part in the formation of microspore. Whereas, in case of megasporangium, okay, only one cell takes part in the formation of megaspore. Okay, in case of megasporangium, only one cell of the nucellus takes part in the formation of megaspore. Thereby, only one megaspore is formed. Next, what happens? We see that from one microspore mother cell, 4 pollen grains are formed and they are still attached. Okay, they are attached one beside the other, that is 2 at the top and 2 at the base, that is the appear in the form of a tetrad. Hence, they are said to be microspore tetrad, which later develops into pollen grains. That means they get separated. Each pollen grain will later form or develop into male gametophyte with male gametes. On the other hand, passing on to megasporangium, only one megaspore is formed, and this megaspore, okay, is formed from what I said, megaspore mother cell. Why? Only one cell in the nucellus gets differentiated into functional megaspore mother cell. I'm not going fast. I've already told you. I'm just telling you the differences. You have to go through the explanation before you listen to this topic. Okay. Now what happens? Single megaspore mother cell gives rise to 4 cells which are arranged one above the other in the form of a linear tetrad. But upper 3 degenerates and only one remains. So one remains as the functional or haploid megaspore, which develops into female gametophyte or embryo sac. Is this clear? Okay. Perisperm, important 1 mark. Nucellus, not nucleus. Nucellus persists in some seeds. It persists in some seeds. This is called perisperm. Example, black pepper and beet. Thus, residual persistent nucellus is called perisperm. With maturity, the water content of the seed decreases, that is, dehydration occurs and finally enters a state of inactivity called dormancy. Inactive stage of seed until favorable condition is available. This is the basis for storage of food. Okay, how are the seeds stored? Are they in dead condition or live condition? You should say it is in a dormant condition. That means what? It's in an inactive stage. Whenever it receives water again, it becomes active and then germinates. So what are the advantages of seeds? This is also important. 1 mark or NEET. Seeds possess adaptive strategies for dispersal to form a new colony. The reserve food of seed supports the growth of the seedling till they become nutritionally independent. Okay, till they have the capacity to absorb the nutrients from the soil or receive the content from the environment, the reserve food of the seed supports the growth of the seedling. The seed coat, that is testantemon, provide protection against injury, that is of the seed. They provide genetic recombination. Seeds are product of sexual reproduction, isn't it? Thereby we say they provide genetic recombination and variation as the product of sexual reproduction. Seeds are stored to be consumed throughout the year to overcome drought or any other natural calamities. Dehydration and dormancy of the seed are crucial for the storage of seeds. Depending on the ability of the seeds, they are used to raise crop in favorable season. Favorable condition for germination of seeds are adequate moisture, oxygen, suitable temperature. Okay. Yes, students, again this is also interesting. Special mechanism of reproduction. We say Apomixis, example grasses. Formation of seed without the act of fertilization is called Apomixis or Agamospermy. The phenomenon of asexual reproduction imitating sexual reproduction is called apomixis. Apomix have advantage in horticulture and agriculture. Diploid egg is formed without reduction division that develops into embryo without fertilization. Because of the importance of apomixis in hybrid seed industry, research is going on in many laboratories around the world to understand the genetics of apomixis and to transfer apomictic genes into hybrid varieties. Yes, students, if the seeds collected from the hybrids are sown, Plants in the progeny will segregate and lose the hybrid characters. But we do require the seeds from the hybrid plant. That's what they say. Production of hybrid seeds is costly, hence hybrid seeds are also expensive. If the hybrids are made into apomix, there is no segregation in the hybrid progeny. So the farmers can keep on using hybrid seeds to raise new crop. Polyembryony, example citrus and groundnut. The occurrence of more than one embryo in a seed is called polyembryony. Some of the diploid cells of the nucellus starts dividing and then protrude into the embryo sac and develop into embryos. Hence, it is called polyembryony. Example, citrus fruits and mango. Let me pass on to the last topic, that is differences between microsporogenesis. This is megasporogenesis. Concentrate. In this process, haploid microspores are formed from diploid microspore mother cells. On the other hand, haploid megaspores are formed from diploid megaspore mother cells. It occurs in microsporangia or the pollen sac of an anther. It occurs in the nucellus of the ovule or in megasporangium. There are many microspore mother cells in the microsporangium. There is generally single megaspore cell in megasporangium. The 4 microspores formed from a single microspore mother cells are generally arranged in a tetrahedral tetrad. Okay, it's arranged like this. Whereas the 4 megaspores formed from a megaspore mother cells are arranged in the form of a linear tetrad. All the 4 megaspores arranged in a tetrahedral are functional, but here only one is functional, 3 degenerates. This is functional and these degenerate. The microspores gives rise to male gametophyte. The functional megaspore gives rise to female gametophyte. Meiosis occurs during microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. Microspores, that is, the pollen grains, are formed at the end of the microsporogenesis, and megaspore is formed at the end of megasporogenesis, which later develop into embryo sac. Okay.